huge, what you say, chunk of history, or this is the huge, what you say, module of history, phase of history, which we have on our mind when we talk of modernism. Now, modernism is not a kind of what you say, watertight or very homogeneous kind of homogeneous kind of literary category, or when we talk in terms of the history of literature or the socio-political history of literature. Modernism can never be talked of as a very clear-cut division, because there have been, it's a kind of catch-all term for a remarkable variety of so many mutually sometimes contradictory or sometimes even mutually enriching kinds of movements. I'm just taking you on an aerial tour of all these movements. We will talk a little more in detail at a later stage. Now, when we talk of modernism, we as teachers, academics, students, research scholars, or even paper presenters think in terms of the major movements in literature, art, and music. Literature, art, and music. We cannot talk about literature dissociating or by separating it completely from these two other big areas of culture, art and music. Now, symbolism. I'm just taking you an aerial tour, but we will talk more about all these things at a later stage. Symbolism, Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Aestheticism, Decadence, Fauvism, Futurism, Cubism, Constructivism, Expressionism, Imagism, Vorticism, Dadaism, Surrealism. Don't be browbeaten by these terms. These are terms which the students at an earlier stage, maybe the teachers at any stage will be able to, or can put themselves in a position to explore in greater detail. Now, all these movements collectively contributed to a huge kind of what you say complex set of literary works in music, works in how we can correlate these with society. And mind you, when we talk of modernism, where we have to think of literary studies in an interdisciplinary way, because this is where, which I just mentioned now, where a kind of what you say cultural, artistic, discursive, imaginative, creative responses to the changes that came up after the Industrial Revolution, at a later stage of Industrial Revolution, when there was the the efflorescence of science and technology. Science and technology. The efflorescence of science and technology, where there was a kind of huge changes, especially with the telephony, with the invention of telephony, electricity, aviation. So look at this term: futurism, vorticism, Fauvism, Cubism. All these are sophisticated terms, elitist terms, which could stand well on par with the developments in science and technology. Electricity, aviation. These were three huge inventions made in the early 20th century. Though I am not going to speak much about this huge area of cinema, the movie camera, which made a lot of changes. I will talk to you about photography a little bit. But to catch up with this, and also to catch up with the changes, the lives of the 1 millionth or 1,000th of a second with this great gadget called camera, there were revolutions to be made. There were conscious, deliberate changes to be made in the field of not science alone, but also to catch up with it, to understand it, to conceptualize, apprehend these things in the world of literature. Not simply a gathering of stories. Still, the students who come at the UG level, they have a kind of wrong notion that the last option, if we do not get any kind of a choice in science, physics, chemistry, botany, or zoology, the next best option is a comfortable option which will give you a comfort zone in college studies, that is English language and literature. It's not so. English language and literature is no more the older kind of what you say liberal older kind of system where liberal imagination was ruling the roost. Already Priya and told you. Because alongside the revolutions made in physics, there were